Hello everybody and welcome to the new video on the channel. As you already see by the preview, today's video here is something that a lot of PC players been waiting for, especially after the release of the original Marvel Spider-Man on the PC from Insomniac. And what about the DLC called Miles Morales? Is there something more in here? Well, today's review is not going to be only focused on the graphics and how the performance on PC is, but a little bit, a tiny part of it about the story. And before we start all of that, I would like to ask you if yes, you are the man behind the screen. Are you subscribed to our channel? If so, then let's begin this amazing journey of Spider-Man Miles Morales. To start this off, in the coming age of the story brings you back to the Spider-Man. In the Marvel Spider-Man we had the opportunity to get the different view with the Peter Parker being 8 years old and in the job for a while. Now as the Miles, you are not only necessarily fresh of the web slinging, but you renew just what is impossible to the spider powers. This shows in the bumbling fashion in which Miles screws up in a prison transfer, the opening sequence. But when he more than make up in the discovering abilities, even Peter finds surprisingly. This makes way for an absolutely phenomenal adventure with Miles through the winter break in New York, as the Peter leaves with MJ for the work and his own little vacation. It's also the Christmas tale which makes it all the more endearing to me and to you the viewer. Especially this entering part where Miles walking through the streets of New York with all the snow coming off, it really looks perfect. And you feel like you're watching something like maybe Marvel's Into the Spider-Verse movie. But let's focus more on the game itself now. Even some of the differing encounters with villains have undertones of the sympathy, while we found that Marvel Spider-Man as well it works specially with the Christmas time background. Insomniac is building an incredible universe right now, and we're fully developed on the characters on the both sides of the chain. And it's all outstanding. I can sit here and talk about the Miles Morales builds of the original, fantastic story and for hours, but we are here actually mostly for the performance. So on this part, I would just like to say one more sentence. The story of Miles Morales is great. It is not really long. As far as I remember, for me it took around 6 hours, well, especially with the time that I spent just walking around enjoying the game overall, but 6 hours of pure gameplay, missions, sidelines, side quests, well, might end up maybe close to the 10 hours, but this experience you'll never gonna forget. Especially now, when it's Christmas time, New Year is coming, it's perfect time to play this game if you haven't. On PlayStation, or maybe you just watch the walk roads and you feel like, oh my god, I wanna swing in New York in the winter. Anyway, the story gets 10 out of 10. So what about the performance? You can speak about it for hours, and let's begin. Not every moment of Miles Morales is 4K 60 FPS ray tracing to the max, but as good as it looks on console, it's equal shot on the PC, and even better actually. That is all said, the game itself isn't main focus on this review like I said. The port PC brings with a bounty of treats to choose from, including a particularly intriguing one of those usually wrapped up in a text space. There's a lot of things that might be done better for today's gaming quality, but overall the chaos begins in one of the stories, experiences from the time. So it was a pleasure spending the time in a dear viewer to get to understand it. The good news in the Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales that it has tons of options for you, no matter what PC you own. As you'll see in the group below, Miles Morales will work on pretty basic rigs of NVIDIA GTX 950 and Intel i3 4160 and 8GB of RAM. That won't get you all the bells and the whistles and all of these things in the game, but you'll be able to play it. If you're already used to that level of identity, you're probably going to care either. The PC Master Race crowded is going to want all, and Miles Morales can provide that. I'm myself running on RTX 380 i9, and believe me, the game was great. Since we all have different devices of PC topics, on editor in, for example, my friend Mike, who played the Miles Morales, it was greatly running for him on a different NVIDIA, which was 1080, and it is great, to be honest. There is also one of our friends who tried the game on RTX 490, and he's really got one of the best qualities I've seen. The gameplay is smooth, everything is great, including one of the functions that is being utilized now that is new is DLSS 3. God, it looks amazing. You can see on the screen now that the game looks and runs perfectly. And believe me, it is very hard to render the video for YouTube to create the quality of the picture